What is going on? Hope you guys are doing well. If you're new here, my name's Chelsea. I'm a wife, mom of a really small baby, and I have laundry next to me. This is my life every single day. We have a very tiny washer and dryer. This is such a side note, but I don't know if you guys have like the stackable washer and dryer. They cannot fit very many clothes in them. So I'm like, man, why don't I just sit down, answer some questions that you guys have been asking lately on Instagram, do my best to just like try to help you guys in whatever season you're in, and do some dang laundry at the same time, because checking 2 things off my list at once is gonna feel so good at the end of this video. So let's go to Instagram. You guys asked some questions lately. A lot has changed in the past few weeks, so I figured we'd do a little Q&A. Before I get into it, I rarely ever say this at the beginning of videos, but I genuinely love hearing back from you guys in the comments and just hearing what resonated with you and any stories that you have. But if you're listening to this part of the video, comment exactly what phase of life you're in right now. We asked a similar question a few videos ago of like how to serve you guys better, and I loved reading those. But kind of explain your situation. Are you single, dating, engaged, married? Are you a wife, a mom? Are you a guy in college? Like, what's going on in your life? Would love to hear, and we're gonna get into the questions. Okay, we're going right into this with a bang. This is gonna be good. This person asked, do you vaccinate your baby? Just curious, because I do some, but not all. That's a really great question, and something that I had a lot of thought that went into. Nick and I had a lot of conversations about this, and I am not of the opinion of like placing what I believe about this topic on anybody else, because I believe that as a mom, you have to lean into your own discernment and your own judgment for your child. And same with like being parents and like finding what you believe and what you want to stand firm on and what you want to do together. So for us and what we decided, I did some research, Nick did some research. We will probably like adapt and change even with our future kids and our experiences with Hudson. In a way, being the oldest child, being the first child, I can speak from experience because I'm the first of 3. You're kind of a guinea pig in some ways, and I'm not saying that with this subject that's the case, because I want to be informed and educated on this. But I was doing some digging and I was like, okay, what vaccines are absolutely essential that I want to give my baby on the exact schedule that they recommend? I looked into not vaccinating. I looked into doing the typical schedule. I also looked into doing a delayed schedule and even taking out some of the vaccines and not necessarily giving all of them. And through my research and my own judgment, I have decided to do most of the vaccines. And if anybody wants to have like an in-depth conversation from like a heart of like truly wanting to know like where I came to this conclusion about, you can always feel free to DM me, but I'm not gonna answer any hateful DMs. I found this schedule, this vaccination schedule for babies that has really great success and it's much more gentle on the baby's body so that it's a little bit more spread out. So in a sense, we're doing a more delayed schedule. So he's getting most of the vaccinations, but they just aren't like happening at the exact same times that other babies his age are getting them. So we are actually going in a lot more to the pediatrician than most babies are. I don't want to go into too many explanations, but yeah, I felt right about that decision. It could change on the next kid. I really just have to lean into like prayer with the Lord and just deciding like what is right for Hudson. What is right for his body, and God knows my child more than I do, so I just have to ask for wisdom, and that's what I'm doing with my kid, and I believe that that could look totally different from baby to baby. So I just always say like, moms, we got to do our best to just like pray for our babies and research what we can, but like don't get so stressed out that you're like, oh my gosh, there's just so much out there, you know, so many opinions. That is very true. You have your baby's best interest at heart. So that's what we came up with, and we feel good about that decision. Okay, another heavily debated question. You guys really like to ask the good ones. So this is a question that says, did you sleep train Hudson? For those who don't know what sleep training is, it is a term that's used for babies whenever they're developmentally ready to, go into their own sleep environment and sleep on their own. Oh my gosh, there's so many opinions on this. So I'm just asking, if you have a totally different opinion than me, that's great. I respect you here. Please respect mine. I did not feel right about the whole sitting there and letting him cry for nights on end. I just don't, it doesn't feel right to me. I want him to know that I'm gonna come to him whenever there's an issue or whenever there's something going on. But at the same time, I knew that he is only going to learn to sleep in his own environment, and that it's a peaceful place if I make it a peaceful place, and we teach him a little bit. So there's this thing called gentle sleep training, and I've been working with a subscriber who's also a sleep consultant for babies, and she's been so helpful through this whole process. And Hudson right now is a great sleeper. He has been for 2.5, 3 months now. And he started sleeping the best he's ever slept so far in his own crib, in his own room. We found that we were waking him up whenever he would be in our room in the bassinet. We even tried safely co-sleeping, and that didn't work because he is just so sensitive to noise and movement. And just like every human is different during their sleep, every baby is different in their sleep. So you just have to really figure out your baby. And so for us, it took probably 1 or 2 nights of getting him comfortable in his crib. And we started off doing naps in his crib, and then we slowly moved into at nighttime, just this is your new place where you sleep. You're used to this because of your naps. And the first few nights, he woke up several times through the night. He also started sleeping longer stretches because we weren't waking, he wasn't waking throughout the night like he used to feed, or because he smelled us, or whatever, whatever reason you want to fill in the blank for why babies wake up. At first, he cried a little bit. I go in, comfort him. I would do that if he continued to cry. I would keep going in and comforting him and making sure that he knows mom's there, dad's there. And after 2 nights or so, he was just sleeping through. And that is so different for each baby. And there's been times where he's regressed and started waking up in the night again and all of that. But he's about close to 8 months now. On the 12th of March, he will be 8 months old. Right now, he sleeps great. And I'm really grateful for that. And I'm just so glad that he deems his own room as a peaceful, calm place that he can sleep. And I just realized I have not even started doing my laundry. Okay, we're gonna do that because golly. So yeah, to answer the question, I did not go full on sleep training, but I had to do some sort of gentle method of that, a tailored version towards Hudson, to let him know that it's a great place to sleep and a great place to sleep through the night, Again, I know that's a really heavily debated topic, but we did not have an experience where he just stopped crying because he had cried so much, because he never cried much in general. So just have patience with them, have patience with yourself. It should all work out. I know everybody's timetable is different. Some babies prefer to be right next to mom for a lot longer, but Hudson slept so much better when he was by himself. Okay, let's see. Next question. This is interesting. Nick and I are actually working on a project that has to do with this. It says, how did you know your husband was the one? Okay. There's a whole video that we've done talking about our love story, and I highly recommend you go and watch it, because I really do believe it's a testimony of God's faithfulness, especially over our lives in the past, and how we both lived in a dating sense before we met each other. Really grateful for how God just worked on both of our hearts. But in a short sense, it just it was completely different than any other dating relationship that I had ever experienced. I just knew from the start that Nick's intentions were very pure, and I had been praying a ton like before I had even met him, and I met him in Georgia. At the time I was living in Illinois at Passion City Conference, and we both heard from God at like the same time in that arena that we were each other's future husband and wife. And I know that sounds bold, and definitely recommend listening to the whole video, but in short, we had never really had very many moments in our lives where God has like clearly said a statement like that to us about each other, and that was one where we're very sure and we know with absolute like just a surety that that is true. We were so confident moving forward into our relationship after that. So that was a really, really cool moment. I look back at that time and I'm just so grateful, because in previous relationships I was definitely, I would date and then it didn't feel right and I would dip out. And same with Nick. So it was awesome to get like some affirmation from the Lord in that sense. I just felt like I was in all the wrong relationships before him. So that's kind of how we knew. But I always encourage people to really, really be in prayer over that part of your life, because that dictates so much of your future if you are to get married or not. It's definitely not something to take lightly. How did becoming a mom influence your view on social media use? This is a really, really great question. On my break with social media, I realized that not only was I addicted to just mindlessly being on it, I had a very unhealthy view of myself, and the reason I were to continue to be on social media like had to completely shift over my break if I were to even stay on. Like I was at that point with it because I was so frustrated just kind of trying to find my purpose within what I did for a living. Like it was something I didn't want, but I found myself having a tendency to do, and I just asked the Lord to really strip that from me, and started going to one-on-one counseling to really work on that. And I'm so glad that I did. And becoming a mom has like changed so much in that sense of like, I really want my son. Just because I choose to be on social media doesn't mean that he should ever feel like he needs to be on here. Just like my brother, kind of grew up doing videos with me. I don't know if you guys know that, but we have several videos together. And in a way, I kind of wonder sometimes if he felt pressured to be on video when he didn't want to be. And now, I think he has like Snapchat or something that's private. But he like posts on Instagram once a year or once every 2 years, and he just decides not to be there, and I don't blame him. I want that for my son as well. Like my future kids, I want them to feel a sense of privacy in a way of like, as my kids start to get older, like right now, because Hudson is a baby, I don't mind like sharing like a photo of his face and like him and like little clips of videos of us together. But as he gets older and like, starts caring about like what other people think of him and like his perceptions on the world change, like I want him to just be able to say like, I don't want any part in this, and I love that you do this, Mom, but like that's not me. And I want him to be able to like have that authority to say that and his own life, that's outside of like this. And who knows if I'll even be here. Like that could be like, that's a long time from now, So just like views on privacy and views on like my family, my inner circle, my friends, like they matter the most. If I am not right in my own family, like our own structure here, then the life that I live on social media and trying to perceive myself as I like got it all together, that's just fake, because like that comes first. So if there's ever something going on in my life that's like extreme or that really needs attention and I'm not posting, like that's probably why, because that comes first, you know? So much has changed in that area, but I'm continuing to learn that. I'm continuing to pray about it because I know that this is like a new world for me of like, okay, I've always shared on the internet, but like what stays between me and my family and what is shared. That is like a constant conversation that I'm having with my husband and our family and everything. So yeah, those are some thoughts that I have on that. I'm going to answer this question super short because I understand the intention, but I don't necessarily believe in the first statement. It says, how have you been putting yourself first as a new mom? I'm one and I've been struggling. So I definitely believe in prioritizing like your health, but I do believe that like when you become a mom, in a way, like a lot of those things that you enjoy and the things that you could just do at your own leisure before you became a mom aren't necessarily like as easy anymore. And in a lot of ways, you don't put yourself first. You put your child first. You put your marriage first. And I think to have like a balanced view of like, okay, I enjoy these things. I need some time to myself on this day. Like I've had to like schedule in times to just like get out of the house. And I think that's good because I can look forward to those times. And for me, that's been like working out with a friend. Like almost 2 to 3 times a week at night, I tell Nick, hey, these are the times I want to go work out. Would you mind watching Hudson? He's cool with it. I'll go. And I'll go to like an hour workout class. And even during the day, since we both work from home, sometimes Nick is traveling, but we can trade off with watching Hudson. Now, I like always say, if your situation is different in your house and you're mostly home with your baby, I would just like have like a friend or a family member or whatever person you have in your life that is willing to like help you out. If you don't have those people, seek them out like once a week or several times a week. Like if you can, like have that like escape. Whenever I was a very, very new mom, like the first few weeks, I loved just driving and going to Starbucks and getting a refresher and like just going to like a coffee shop down the road. It's gonna look different, but for everybody. But that's kind of like what I have done to just, you know, still try to have that me time because that's very important too. So many clothes everywhere. Okay, how's married life since having a baby? In short, it's been really great. I think Nick would say the exact same thing. I think we've matured really quickly. We're both 24 years old. I just turned 24. He turns 25 in September. And we feel like if we wouldn't have had Hudson, like we definitely would not have grown the way that we have. And in a way, like our intimacy is better, our like the conversations that we do that are a little bit more on the serious side and involve like heavy stuff, you know, those are like relationship like strengthening opportunities, like we always view them as that. And I like look forward to them. I like find ways sometimes I feel bad that I do this, but I like really try to find a way to have like serious talks with Nick, because one of my favorite things is just like getting to the heart of like what's going on in his mind or what's going on in our hearts like separately, and how we can like land on the same page. Because I don't know if you've ever experienced this if you're married, but sometimes like a few days can go by and you just kind of feel a little bit like disconnected, and then you realize like, oh, you know, it's been a while since we've like prayed together, or oh, it's been a while since like, you know, we had a conversation about how we're really doing. And since having Hudson, I think we've been like challenged in that area of like making sure that those things are like regular things. So just like really checking in with one another. And I think having those on a regular basis has helped us a lot. And I look forward to those conversations. When are you guys planning on trying for another baby? How many kids do you want? This conversation changes, like, I feel like every other week. Because in so many ways, like, we love having Hudson, and, like, we can't imagine our lives without him. But the thought of, like, having a newborn right now is a little freaky because that process is not easy. However, we also see the good parts of having another one soon, because why not just get all the baby stuff out of the way? I don't know. I have so many like back and forth thoughts on it, continuing to have that conversation, and I don't even really want to say like a time frame, because we've just really been just trying to lean into what God's plans are for our family. As hard as that is to say, I feel like that's one thing that a lot of people will say, but they sometimes try to control, and that's definitely our tendency, is to like be like, you know what, God, the baby thing's tough, like let's space it out a bit. But like Hudson's such a blessing, and like to continue to have like a bigger family and all of that, I don't want to stop that, you know, just kind of thinking out loud. But yeah, we're like very open to the idea of like a bigger family, because kids are fun, families are fun, having siblings is really fun. I had 2 siblings, and it was really fun growing up. I sometimes wonder, like, what if we had more siblings? You know, I don't know. Just thoughts. But don't have like a sure time frame. I think it'll definitely be sooner than later. We want Hudson to be somewhat close in age to his next sibling if we were to ever get pregnant with another baby. Okay, I have like 4 minutes left on my battery thing, so I'm going to try to make these quick. Any advice for learning to value the love of God over the love of man? Okay, so I know who this is asking this question, and first off, love you. I think that this is like such a huge heart desire, and I think especially when it comes to the way that you look, and like not necessarily liking certain parts of the way that you look, it can be really easy to like criticize yourself and like be self-conscious about what others think of you. But first off, the differences that we all have, some people, like this world is so opinionated, some people will find them absolutely beautiful, some people will find them absolutely not beautiful. Thank God our beauty is not in the eyes of the beholder, meaning thank God we don't have to allow our identity to rest in another person versus God's view of us. So I just love that like pressure to feel like it's lifted, because like we know that that is true, and I know that you know that is true, but you want your heart to believe that. And I think that process is like a lot of undoing lies and bringing them to God, like, and just saying like, God, this is what I believe about myself, and I know that it's a lie, because I know that you've made me in your image and that you have made me beautiful, even if I don't see that right now. So I'm giving you these, I'm laying them down, and I'm asking that you would make me believe something different, which is that you are beautiful and that you are cherished and all of those things. I once had a mentor like give me a full list of verses that really spoke to purpose and identity, and it was so great to just like memorize those about myself. But you and I can have like a further conversation. To the person who wrote this, I've been meaning to reach out to you. So would love anybody else that has any thoughts on that to leave them below, because that'd be so helpful for her. Okay, do you keep the Sabbath instead of Sunday? What's your thoughts on that? So this changes a lot. For me, like I loved seeing the way that Jewish people like held the Sabbath from sundown Friday to sundown on Saturday. And I personally, at the end of the week, I'm just wiped and I'm like ready to be off my phone. I'm ready to just like rest. And my natural rhythm in my body is almost like it wants it to be Saturday. Like it wants my Sabbath to be Saturday. So I feel like I naturally fall with like the way that Jewish people observe the Sabbath. But I'm not like, you must observe on the exact day. I just think it's good and healthy for people to have like one day a week to rest. The Lord calls us to rest from our jobs, from our obligations in life, and it's just so good to have that worked into each week. So that's in short my belief on that. I don't know. it's probably going to change. As a lot of these things probably are. Okay, I hope this isn't too personal, but what birth control method do you use? We have a video that we talked about, like natural family planning. You may or may not have heard of it. You can look up other videos on it, but for us, like I track when I ovulate, when I have my period, all of those things. So I'm just like really in the know with my body. I don't use a pill, an IUD, like nothing synthetic. I just want my body to like naturally do what it does. I believe everybody needs to look into that like for themselves. So I'm not placing anything on anybody, but for us, we just found it was the most healthy for us. And it is really helpful whenever we do decide to have more kids. I just know like what my body's doing. So natural family planning is the name, the term. There's so much out there on it, so you can feel free to do more research on that if you want. Do you feel like you did anything that helped you put into labor? That helped you put yourself into labor? I feel like I did, but some people do these things and they still go over their due date. But for me personally, I ate a lot of dates, like every single day, like leading up until I had Hudson. Date shakes, I would eat them as they are. I ended up hating dates at the end of it because I just ate so many. Lots of red raspberry leaf tea. It's great for your period. It's also great for like strengthening your uterus and, you know, the contracting muscles that work together whenever you are in labor. So many things. I also did like Kegel exercises and tried to get the baby in like a good position by like I would get on the bed with my knees on the bed, got on my forearms on the ground, and that was supposed to like encourage a healthy position within the baby. So many videos out there on this, but those were just like a few things that I did. I tried to drink a ton of water. I had this water bottle that I filled up constantly. All these things are just healthy things to do. They won't necessarily put you into labor, but they do say that it encourages it. I also try to take like my vitamins every day. Try not to miss that. Just tried to be healthy and overall. I could definitely implement more of those things in everyday life now, being postpartum. I got rid of all the laundry around me because it was overwhelming. And I'm going to answer the last question that is here. So it says, did you find it easy to adjust to adult life? I couldn't imagine being a mom and a wife now at 23. So this is a very loaded question, but in short, I'll just say I feel like this is not the same for everybody. I think there's a reason that some people get married young and a reason some people get married older. Some people have kids when they're young, some people have kids when they're older. For me, I think that I never thought that I would be married so young and have kids so young, but I think that I am one that has matured very fast because I've been forced to in a lot of ways, and I think that is not a bad thing. We're dating with intentions of marriage, and we found each other like at really young ages, and we just had a kid really young, and now we can't imagine our lives any different. I don't think there's any like super profound wisdom I could give you here, but I would just say that God's plan for your life will most likely not look like how you envision it in your head, and just being open to that, because you'll be able to see the beauty in things that you wouldn't have otherwise if you have eyes to see that. And I've been so thankful for all the lessons that I've had in this it feels like fast season of life. Like, we got married in 2019, had a kid last year. It does in a lot of ways feel very fast, but I think that we were so ready for it, and like our lives have been enriched and deepened in so many ways because we're young and young parents, and I just think you have to lean into what your life looks like and what God wants to do with you and what He desires for you to use with the gifts that He's given you and all of that. So in short, yeah, I just think everybody's different, and I'm just grateful for the way that things have kind of come together in my life, and your life probably looks very different than mine, and I think that's good, and I think that is something to lean into. So those are all the questions. Thanks for doing laundry with me. And we will join back together here in another vlog very soon, because I want to take you guys along with just some things going on and just trying to get organized. And I just feel like as a mom, that is like so important now, like just being organized. So love y'all. Thanks for tuning into this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Check out our podcast. We're like doing really awesome conversations there. So peace out for now. Bye.